times and you didn't know what to do. I was back last Monday evening and that came to my door. It was raining very heavy, as it often rained before. As I opened up the doorway, much to my surprise, 'twas Tommy Rooney's Eddie Joe right before my eyes. "Oh, so good to see you, Paddy. You're looking well, I say. I've just come home last evening from the good old USA. Oh boy, your home has changed so much from what it was before. Gone are the lovely flagstones that used to be the floor. Do you still have country dances and the girls with plaited hair?" With this litany of questions, he sank down in a chair. "So you're back again in Ireland, you'll be likely for to stay." "I intend to stay for Christmas." On his face, you're likely to stay a while. "I intend to stay for Christmas." On his face, a great big smile. "Oh, the good old Irish Christmas, I remember it quite well. And the cooking of the turkey, oh, what a lovely smell. And a little drink of potton left a tingle in your toe. Oh, I remember Christmas in Ireland long ago." "Oh, I'm sure you do remember, but you'll get a big surprise. For when you see your Christmas, 'twill open up your eyes. The turkey markets are no more, no market at the cross. For the patch that once the turkey market was is covered with weeds and moss. The turkeys too have torn their coats, they've torn from black to white, and the people sing the first Noel instead of Silent Night. And the lovely Irish holly doesn't decorate your rooms. It's flashing bulbs and tinsels and all colours of balloons. In many, many houses there's no cooking done at all. The hotel's the place for dining where you all can have a ball. As regards the drop of potton to wash the dinner down, with Red Bull now and vodka he'll finish on the ground. You say you'll stay for Christmas, that means you're here to stay. With the times you have in Ireland, it's Christmas every day. As regards the country dances, that time has passed by too. There's lovely girls in many skirts with hair of orange or blue. It's all a different picture everywhere you go. This country, it has changed since 50 years ago. They're done now with the dance now to a one-man band. They're in the local pub, and there is no tea or corn cake. You buy your own pub grub. The money, it has changed since we were decimised. Another change is on the way. We'll soon be Eurovised. Then Eddie Joey shook my hand, saying I'd best be on my way. Sure, I'd love to stay in Ireland, but it's raining every day.
How did you see that? Been out in the moonlit garden, not far from the ballroom ground, not far from the dance and singing. They wandered hand in hand. Tomorrow we must leave her when she owned that she'd be true. And from our breast she gave to him a bunch of violets blue. They are only a bunch of violets, a bunch of violets blue. Fresh and fair and empty, all sparkling like the dew. He took those violets from her and he pressed them to his heart. And by her side he swore betimes he'd never from them part. They brought her, no, wrong. It was out in a field of battle, a soldier lad was slain, with a bunch of withered violets upon his bosom lay. While turning to his comrades in a feeble voice he said, "Take her back those violets, I've worn them till I die." They brought her back had been on her wedding day. For an old man's goal had won her heart from her soldier far away. They brought her back sweet memories of her soldier fair and tall. When she pinned those violets in his breast that evening at the ball. They're only a bunch of violets, a bunch of violets blue, fresh and fair and dainty, all sparkling like the dew. He took those violets from her and he pressed them to his heart. And by your side he swore he ties he'd never from them part. And by your side he swore he ties he'd never from them part.
One sunny summer's morning as I ramble from my home, down by the banks of a silvery stream I carelessly did roam. I overheard a maid complain as the tears from her eyes did flow, for the loss of her own true Irish love and the glens of sweet Mayo. My true love was a rebel bold who loved sweet liberty. In bloody 1916 he fought for Ireland free. 'Twas in a black and tan rain he never feared the foe. He now lies mortally wounded in the lands of sweet Mayo. Had I but his rifle, I would fight for liberty. And on the spot where he was shot, I'd fight the enemy. But if a bullet should pierce my heart and cause my blood to flow, I would die beside my own true love and the hills of sweet Mayo. There's one request I will ask of you, granted to me please. It is not much I ask of you to set my mind at ease. Have pity on a fair young maid who knows not where to go, and come with me and find my love and the hills of sweet Mayo. We started off together, our true love for to find. For 3 long days and nights we searched against the rain and wind, till at last we came to that silent spot that all true lovers know. We found him there lying on the grass and the hills of sweet Mayo. It was a sight that pierced my heart as over him she stood. And when she gazed upon that face all stained with his heart's blood, and when she saw the cruel wounds from which the blood did flow, it made the heather around look red evergreen to grow upon his breast. She then knelt down to kiss his lips that were as cold as snow, saying goodbye, farewell, my own true love, and the hills of sweet Mayo.
slow air called it's the slow air played after the fox chase, which is a piece of music that depicts a fox being hunted down. But I haven't learned that part yet. But I can play the slow air for the dead fox. This is how great.
in the west, and it fell with lingering rays to the branches of a forest where a dying ranger lay. Neath the shadow of a meadow where the sunset silvery sky, far away from his home in Texas, we laid him down to die. To stop his lifeblood flowing, we found it all in vain. The tears rolled down each man's cheeks like light showers of rain. I'd spoke the noble ranger, boys weep no more for me, for I'm crossing the deep water to a country that is free. Addie, young girl, my sister, my only joy, my pride. She has been my friend since boyhood, I have no one left besides. I have loved her as a brother, and with the father's care, I have roamed through grief and sorrow, or gentle heart to spare. Oh, comrades, gather closer, and listen to what I say. I'm going to tell the story, though my spirit flies away. I'm off to northwest Texas, that good old homestead still. She'll be waiting for my coming with a weary heart will wait. Oh, I'm bit. My mother, she lies sleeping beneath the churchyard sod, and many's a day has passed away since her spirit fled to God. My father, he lies sleeping beneath the deep blue sea, so I have no other kindred, there are none but now on me. When our country was invaded and the call for volunteers, she threw her arms around me and then burst into tears, saying, "Go, my darling brother, drive these traitors from our shore. My heart may need your presence, but our country needs you more." That's true, I love my country, for what I'd give my all. If it were not for my sister, I'd be content to fall. So I'm dying, comrades, dying, she will see me nevermore. For I'm blind, she'll wait my coming beside her cabin door. Oh, comrades, gather closer and listen to my prayer. If you'll be his brother and give her brother's care. I spoke the noble ranger, and the answer one and all. We will be to her as brothers till the last one of us fall. Then one glad smile of pleasure o'er the ranger's face was spread. One dark and dreary shadow, so the ranger boy was dead. Far away from his darling sister, they laid him down to rest, with a saddle for his pillow and his gun across his breast.
As I view each new horizon, I drift further from my home. I'm sailing on a foreign ship, just bound for Montreal. How I give the world to make my destination Donegal. Sure, I'd make my way from Malin through Bundoor into Raphoe, Port Salins down to Killybegs, through Queechlaw and Dunlow, and all around the Barnsmore Gap, on every one I call, beyond the blue Stack Mountains to the town of Donegal. Oh, Donegal, I miss you, and I'll never understand why you left me on this foreign land against my heart's command. Whatever fortune comes my way, whatever may befall, sure I know I'll make my final destination Donegal. Sure I'd make my way from Malin through Bundoor into Raphoe, Port Salins down to Killybegs, through Queechlaw and Dunlow, and all around the Barnsmore Gap, on every one I'd call, beyond the blue Stack Mountains to the town of Donegal. Sure I know I'll make my final destination Donegal.
Glen rode off an autumn day. I saw her first and knew that her dark hair would weave a snare that I would one day rue. I saw the danger, yet I passed along the enchanted way, and I said, let grief be a fallen leaf at the dawning of the day. On Grafton Street in November, we tripped lightly along the ledge of a deep ravine where can't be seen the wrath of passion's pledge. Oh, the Queen of Hearts still making tarts, and I not making hay. Oh, I love too much, and by such is happiness thrown away. On a quiet street where old with her own name there, and her shiny dark hair like clouds over fields of May. On a quiet street where old ghosts meet, I see her walking now, away from me so hurriedly. My reasons must allow that I have loved not as I should, a creature made of clay. When the angel woos the clay, he'd lose his wings at the dawn of day.
I'd like to welcome you all here tonight, and I hope you enjoy the crack and fun, and it's great to have all the performers that we have. Brady here, lovely singing, Ronan, Paul, John, Ashling, Gabriel, and Maggie. And they're put on a great performance here, and you're clapping very well. And Pat here. Pat is lovely singing. And maybe there's more around here too that would like to sing later on. But anyway, it's great to have you all, and thanks for coming. And Tony here too. So, stay away.
last song, Poems to be Told, he said in his last song. As he came in tonight, Johnny explained to me about the hazel wands that made up the fire cover. So I said I'd tell him a poem about the hazel. When I was a wee boy, I was brought up by the nuns, Sisters of Charity, and they made us learn lots of poems. So here's one I learned as a boy. And it's for you, Johnny, the hazel. And it's by W.B. Yeats, and it's called The Song of Wandering Aegeus. I went out into the hazel wood because a fire was in my head, and cut and peeled a hazel wand and hooked a berry to a thread. And when white moths were on the wing and moth-like stars were flickering out, I dropped the berry in a stream and caught a little silver trout. When I had laid it on the floor, I went to blow the fire with a flame, but something rustled on the floor and someone called me by my name. It had become a glimmering girl with apple blossom in her hair, who ran and faded in the darkening air. Though I am old with wandering through hilly lands and hollow lands, I will find out where she has gone, and kiss her lips, and take her hand, and walk among long dappled grass, and pluck till time and tides are done the silver apples of the moon, the golden apples of the sun.
The wheels on the song as a train rolled along, and the black smoke came hurling from the sky, with the headlight gleam seemed to brighten his dream, for he knew that tomorrow'd be going by. She fled round the hill, but his brave heart stood still, for a headlight kept shining in his face, and he whispered a prayer as he drew in the air, for he knew this would be his final race. In the rack he was found, lying there on the ground, and he asked them to lift his weary head. And as his breath slowly went, a sad message he sent to the maiden who thought she would be wed. I've a little grey home that I bought of my own, where I dreamed we'd live happy by and by. So I'll leave it to
come a spring and he bolted it to the wall or the rafters. And then you put your milk in there and to operate it, you put it down, put it up itself, so it becomes much easier to work than the dash turn. Because the spring did a lot of your work. And that comes from Jim McKeagney's of Cameroon. So it shows that they were used in this area. Another thing here I've spotted over here when Tony shouted at me there. This here, as you can see, is bucket. But that bucket was made out of a cistern, out of anyone's house. And that was made by this tinsmith here on the street at the festival in Keague, County Roscommon. So we were down at the festival anyway, and Tom had a great audience at his work making buckets, and he would cut the cistern off there in front of your eyes. And of course, I fell for one of these buckets, and Teresa was somewhere around, but I didn't want her to know I was going to spend money buying a bucket. So behind her back I bought the bucket. And I wasn't near the car, so I rapped on the door close to where Tom was working and asked the people would they keep the bucket for me later on. So they kept the bucket and I collected it later on. And that's it there. And to watch that man at work, you just would take the sight in your eyes. You just couldn't believe how he could do what he did there. The rivets, he made the rivets while he was just out of a piece of material as well. So those men are very scarce at the moment. There's still a lot of them around. There's a wee piece there. Some of you remember the jug and bowl for washing yourself with. And you used to put your head over it and get the water poured over your head. So anyway, the handle came off this jug here. And whoever had it brought it to the tinsmith. And as you can see, the nice job he made putting a handle on the jug. He didn't do an old rough job, he did a very nice job. Lovely curl and finish. Tapered in here. And then it's mapped out here. There's a wee bit of solder on it down there. So, the like of this here, would be too many in this room would know what that was. Maybe James there would have come across one. To do with horses. Well anyway, when the horse was tethered in the stable, it was tethered up at the manger, and along the runner of the manger there was a nice wee iron ring, and the rope that he was tied to went down through the ring, and at the bottom of the rope was this. It's called a clog. And as the horse put his head down, the clog pulled the rope down, and as he lifted his head up, the clog came up and wouldn't come out through the ring. But it seems that there was another reason for it. Had this not been on the rope, he could have tangled his leg in the rope and done himself damage. So it wasn't always a nice wooden ring like that. It was often a piece of iron or something else that was used. Smith made me a certain amount of tins, and a lot of people would know what that is there. Yes. Tea drawer. That's what you wet your tea in. But mostly you would get a right-handed tea drawer. But Gabriel here is left-handed, and it seems that one person in 8 is left-handed. So I asked the tinsmith to make me a left-handed tea drawer.
Is that for me?
A rare item. There was a man who worked in the rivers. He lives in Brookborough, and he was walking at the Camper River, and I got in to chat with him, and as he was walking on the river banks and the lake shores and so forth, anything unusual he would find, he would bring it home. So he brought me over an amount of stuff here, all types of wee fossils, and corals. And those there are corals from an ancient sea, found locally. And you go back a few million years there. And here on the side of a river bank at Clonteverin, near Thomas, he found these here. He didn't know what they were, and I wouldn't have known either, but he brought them to an archaeologist, and they're fossilized horses' teeth. So it's quite a long time since that horse died. So they've gone to stone. And long ago, when they were putting the turf in the bog, they would find bog oak sticks or deal down in the bog. And this was very useful to find because they could make boats out of it, and they could make rafts for houses, and they could make lots of things. So often to find it, if you went out on a frosty morning across the bog, and if there was a piece of oak down in the bog, you could see it because it didn't freeze above the oak. There was no frost where the oak was in the ground. And this is how the people long ago used to be able to trace oak trees. They'd go out on a frosty morning, and for some reason it didn't freeze where the oak was. So they would dig the oak, they would dig down until they came to the oak tree, and of course it was so large they weren't able to take it out. But what they did was, they got it cut into a few pieces, and then they left it there in the bog, and the water seeped into the hole, and eventually the water helped the oak, helped them to take the water out. The water helped it up the ground. And this here is called a fir hatchet, and it was found in a bog in County Derry, and it's quite in age because the blacksmith at that time left a wee rivet here, which you wouldn't get nowadays, or there's years and years. The blacksmith wouldn't leave the like of that showing. He would melt it back into the iron. So this is quite in the age. The shaft's modern, but that's called a fir hatchet, and they were in use for cutting up the fir. And you see, the fir was different to the oak. The fir wood, you could strip the fir. That's a piece of fir, as opposed to a piece of oak. That's a piece of oak there. But the fir was a different tree. And when they got it out, they could actually peel it away in strips. And they made rope out of the fir. And they used to cut them up in like wee matches. And they would have them in a wee hole in the old hearth fires, called the bowl, wee hollow on this side and a hollow on this side of the hearth. And they would have a wee firelighter sitting in there. So whenever matches came in, you daren't use a match. It was a sin to use a match at the fire. It was waste. It said you wouldn't do that in the famine. And it was so much in the psyche of the people not to waste that. Anything like this here, they were able to use that for match-free matches.
Three lassie of beauty and charm, whose parents had died and left her the farm. Many young man just out from the town, who was dressed up to kill in a nice suit of brown. With a smart tiny ways he took her by charm, and inside of a month he had her on the farm. But in a short time this poor girl found out the man she had married cared nothing about the work of a farm as he lay in his bed, although there were thousands of turnips to spare. While his pretty young wife had to milk all the cows, feed the hens and the chickens and look after the sows. She'd do all the ploughing and bringing the hay, while he lay and snored on till the middle of the day. But one day she decided that she'd done enough, so she thought she would shame him into doing his stuff. She went up the stairs, really in his bed, but all she could see was the top of his head. He'd the blankets piled round him right up to his lug, and he lay there as snug as a bug in a rug. She pulled the clothes off him and she did say, "Ah, get up, Willie John, it's the middle of the day." I was talking this morning to Mrs. McGurk, and she tells me her husband is fond of his work. While old Paddy Murphy from over the way gets up from his bed at the screech of the day. At the neighbouring farms all the men do their share, so get up, Willie John, for you're not playing fair. Willie John, he looked up, then Mary, he said, "I suppose you remember the day we were wed. If so, you remember the words you did say, when you promised to honour, to love and obey. So just tuck the clothes round me and leave me alone, and you'll have a man when the others have known."
This here, would anyone hazard a guess? Well, it's for those in a horse. You put this into the horse's mouth, you had open his mouth, that into his mouth, and the bottom of the here. And this here, for the horse also, and it shot a pellet down his throat. There's another thing here, is was widely used one time when the mills were going. When you brought the corn to the mill, it was spread out on the kiln head. Below the kiln head was the furnace, and the kiln head was made of iron or tin, and it was perforated, so the heat came up through the perforation, and the corn was spread out on the heat on the iron. Well, if the corn was just left lying there, whatever was near the floor would burn and the rest wouldn't dry. So whoever brought the corn in had to turn the corn, and the turn the corn was that there, wooden shovel. Another wee gadget here. This must be more stuff right now. This here is a rush candlestick. Used to make candles out of rushes. And this here is a weaver's candlestick. Because you could sit down beside that and the light would be just enough how you needed it. Quite a rare item now.
That would be a special candle too then. That's a very
gathered the rushes, a certain type of rush, and they skinned the rush, all except one wee bit on the side, and the pith then was pulled through hot animal fat, and it was pulled through so often that it became thick, and that was your candle. And then the rush was the wee wick. Lift this out, and this will be my last item because you just want to get back to the music. I'll just show you. These here, well, they're called horn and irons, bread irons for making the oat cake. And this here was facing the fire, the hearth fire, and oat cake was set on there, and that's what baked your cake. Another use for these here was this. The fire, again, was here. And when I first seen these, I didn't know what they were for, these here. But Pat Cassidy of Listen State told me what they were for. They were for the spit. And you put your turkey, probably your goose, on here, or your chicken, and you put it on these here, beside your fire, and then you turn the pan again.
Are you a week late for that, Jonas?
So this particular one here came from Jimmy Murphy's of Cray. That one there was probably made locally by a blacksmith in this area. This one here came from Cavan, but there's a shocking resemblance between the two. The two are at the same height. All those there are the same height. And you'll see the art of the blacksmith, the way he did these. Something else, one more thing, and that's it. This is something similar, except that you've got waves here, and I'm told that those represent the waves on Lough Erne. So, that's the end of the story. One time, and he said there were blacksmith towns. But my father had a blacksmith's forge, and I knew all the towns and knew that these weren't towns, so I didn't know what they were, and I paid £4 for them. So a few days after I got them, started examining them and looked at them and wonder, and then I opened them up and looked at them here, and I could see a design, circular design, and the crucifixion is in the design.
Communion bread.
For making
Communion bread.
And
They're not too late, you know.
Oh, me and my cousin called Arthur McBride, as we went walking down by the seaside. Now mark what followed and what did betide, for it being out Christmas morning. Out for recreation we went on a tramp, and we met Sergeant Napper and Corporal Vamp, and a little wee drummer who roused up the camp with his row-de-dow-dow in the morning. Good morning, young fellows, the sergeant did cry, and the same few gentlemen we did reply, intending no harm, but meant to pass by, for the day being pleasant and charming. Hear, hear, my fine fellows, if you will enlist, it's 10 guineas in gold I will slap in your fist, and a crown in the bargain to kick up the dust, and drink the king's health in the morning. For a soldier, he leads a very fine life, and he always is blessed with a charming young wife, and he pays all his debts without sorrow or strife, and always lives pleasant and charming. For a soldier, he always is decent and clean, in the finest of clothing he's constantly seen, while other poor fellows go dirty and mean, and sup on thin gruel in the morning. But says Arthur, I wouldn't be proud of your clothes, for you've only the lend of them, as I suppose, and you dare not change them one night, for you know if you do, you be flogged in the morning. And although that we are single and free, we take great delight in our own company, and we have no desire for strange faces to see, though your offers are charming. And we have no desire to take your advance, all hazards and dangers we burnt our own chance, for you would have no scruples for to send us to France, where we would get shot in the morning. Oh, now, cried the sergeant, I'll have no such chat, and I neither will take it from young cow-feeding brat, for if you insult me with one other word, I'll chop off your heads in the morning. And Arthur and I, we soon drew our hoods, and we scarce gave them time for to draw their own blades. Our whacking shillelaghs came over their heads, and bid them look sharp in the morning. And those old rusty rapiers that hung by their sides, we flung them as far as we could in the tide. Take that, my divils, cried Arthur McBride, to temper their rage in the morning. And the little wee drummer, we flattened his pow, and made a football of his row-de-dow-dow, threw it in the tide for to rock and to row, and bade it a tedious returning. And we haven't no money to them up in cracks, for we paid no respect to their two bloody backs, and we lathered them there like a pair of wet sacks, and left them for dead in the morning. So, to conclude and to finish disputes, we obligingly asked if they wanted recruits, for we were the lads that gave them hard clouts, and bid them look sharp in the morning. Oh, me and my cousin called Arthur McBride, as we went walking down by the seaside. Now mark what followed and what did betide, for it be an old Christmas morning.
medicine for to find. Saying, doctor, give me something that'll make me ailment blind. With me rightful little larum and me rightful lay. Oh, feed 'em eggs and marrow-bones and make 'em sup them all. It won't be very long after till they won't see you at all. With me rightful little larum and me rightful lay. She fed 'em eggs and marrow-bones and made 'em sup them all. It wasn't so very long after till they couldn't see the wall. With me rightful little larum and me rightful lay. Sissy, I think you drowned myself, but that might be a sin. So she, I go to the water's edge and I'll have to push you in. With me rightful little larum and me rightful lay. The old woman, she went back to bed to get her run and blow. The old man lightly stepped aside and she went in below. With me rightful little larum and me rightful lay. So lightly did she roar, so lightly did she call. So will you hurry your wish, old woman? Sure I can't see you at all. With me rightful little larum and me rightful lay. She swam and swam and swam and swam till she came to the further brim. The old man got along that side and he pushed her further in. With me rightful little larum and me rightful lay. So eggs and marrow-bones may make your ailment blind. But if you want to drown them, you must creep up close behind. With me rightful little larum and me rightful lay.
what wonders there. Pat often heard of London being a very pretty place. Well, my dad says that I'll go and see. if that's the bloomin' kiss. He shook hands with all his neighbours, and he kissed his colleen dear. He left the sorry deadbeat dads, and never shed a tear. When Pat arrived in London, being taken by surprise, the size of that big city fairly dazzled Paddy's eyes. While dodging on quite easily, dictating to himself, he met an ill-bred cognal, a donkey selling doll. This ragged ill-bred cognal would not let Paddy pass. Oh, speak unto your brother, and he pointed to the ass. I surely will, said Paddy, I never thought he'd a brother here. With that he stopped and whispered into the donkey's ear. And as he was whispering, guess what did he do? He dropped a chew of tobacco into the donkey's ear. The ass swam mad upset the cart and broke the earthen wire. And the ragged ill-bred cognal went crazy round and square. They called upon a policeman to have Paddy in charge. For such an Irish vagabond, he shouldn't be at large. Go long, you English gulpin, said Paddy with a smile. You took me for an ass because I came from Ellen's Isle. Next day before the magistrate, poor Pat was brought next day, in order to defend his case and hear what they would say. I'm sure, says Pat, I'm charged with more than what I did. I spoke unto me brother, and I did what I was bid. We want no nonsense here. Just tell me every word you whispered in the donkey's ear. I surely will, said Paddy, your request I won't refuse. You have often heard of donkeys being very fond of news. I'm sure thought I'd tell him something, poor donkey's hard to cheer. I could tell him I'd all their elders and a dial into ourselves. But when he heard this dreadful news, the bugger he went mad. The magistrate hung down his head, he was supposed to laugh. He couldn't keep from laughing at the words that Paddy said, while raising up his head again, what a clever rogue you are. And for your clever answers, I'll dismiss you from the bar.
I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin below there of clay and wattle was made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee-loud glade. And I shall find some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the crickets sing. There, midnight's all a-glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore. As I stand in the roadway or on the pavement's grey, I hear it in the deep heart's core.
Christmas tree. Oh, and leaves are still green in December. It's then that our land will be free. I've wandered her hills and valleys, and still through my sorrow I see a land that has never known freedom, and still only her rivers run free. I drink to the depth of her manhood, those men who'd rather have died than to live in the cold chains of bondage, to bring back their rights were denied. So where are you now when we need you? What burns where the flame used to be? Are you gone like the snow of last winter, and still only her rivers run free? How deep what good is in life but we're dying? How mellow the wine, but it's dry. How fragrant the rose, but it's dying. How gentle the wind, but it sighs. this poem the evening that I came back with my father from Willie, and I haven't read it since, so you'll forgive me if I stumble on my own words. It's called Visiting an Old Man. Half guard, all pet, circling his chain across the yard, warning of us, welcoming us. The colourful scattering of hens and roosters, all creatures centred around the doorstep. Who is it? Johnny McKeagney, the reply. Unlocking the door and half door, we entered to be greeted by a familiar-looking old man. When introduced once, my face must have been remembered. A fine reflection on a man to remember the face of a child. Seated by the fire, the conversation flowing, starting with the weather, moving on to concerned thoughts of the sick and recently departed. This part lingers, obviously, a more relevant point to my father and the old man. I see his face now, his eyes adjusted to the dark, his rhythmic mouth movements telling of neighbours' well-being, his deep red face held down by a cap, his eyes full of life's experiences focused on us both. Natural friendliness, a keenness to talk, rolling words comfortable to the local ear. The old man lay to his side in traditional attire, a farmer, a worker, a storyteller, a gentleman. I warmed by his presence, watching my father enjoying his stories, listening to the poetry of his words and colourful descriptions. He did not know he was a poet. He did not know he was a storyteller. He did not know he was a fine host. He could only be himself. I enjoyed the old man. I liked the old man. I learned from him and from what he said. His practical home, his love of place, his sense of nature and joy of company. His retired hands now work the pipe, moving it and checking it, never lighting it. Outside, the sound of grandchildren playing his music. I sensed contentment, a successful man. As we opened the door, the light hurt his eyes. I caught a glimpse of the view from the door. $1 million view, I thought. I mentioned its beauty, but the old man can only remember it now.
Aisling, Jim, Catherine, John have been joined by Darren and Brian, and they're going to play a couple of reels.
We laid him down to die. To stop his life blood flowing, we found it all in vain. The tears rolled down each man's cheeks like light showers of rain. I'd spoke the noble ranger, boys weep no more for me, for I'm crossing the deep water to a country that is free. Oh, comrades, gather closer and listen to what I say. I'm going to tell a story, though my spirit flies away. I'm off to northwest Texas She'll be waiting for my coming with a weary heart well way. A brave young girl, my sister, my only joy, my pride. She has been my friend since boyhood, I had no one left besides. I loved her as a brother, and with a father's care, I have roamed through grief and sorrow, or gentle heart to spare. My mother, she lies sleeping beneath yon churchyard sod, and many's a day has passed away since her spirit fled to God. My father, he lies sleeping beneath the deep blue sea. Sure I have no other kindred, there are none but Nell on me. When our country was invaded and the call for volunteers, she threw her arms around me and then burst into tears, saying, "Go, my darling brother, drive these traitors from our shore. My heart may need your presence, but our country needs you more." That is true, I love my country, for her I'd give my all. If it were not for my sister, I'd be content to fall. So I'm dying, comrades, dying, she will see me nevermore. But in vain she'll wait my coming beside her cabin door. Oh, comrades, gather closer and listen to my prayer. If yous will be her brother and give her brother's care. I'd spoke the noble ranger, and the answer one and all. We will be to her as brothers till the last one of us fall. Then one glad smile of pleasure o'er the granger's face was spread. One dark and dreary shadow, so the ranger boy was dead. Far away from his darling sister, we led him down to rest, with a saddle for a pillow and his gun across his breast.
We're going to have Jim Cogan now with the song The Lamp Lighting Time in the Valley. And then they're going to go into a session, there's all these musicians here.
There's a lamp burning bright in a cabin, in a window it's shining for me, and I know my but I'll change all my ways and I'll meet her in heaven when life races wrong. When it's lamplighting time in the valley, in my dreams I'll go back to my home. I can still see that light in the window. It will guide me wherever I roam.
We're going to have a poem now from Tempo's own poet. As a result of Pat writing poems, a book was produced several years ago, some of the proceeds of which went to Bosnia with 2 nurses who were going out, and hope it did some good out there. And the book wouldn't have been produced at all without Pat's input. And because of him, that the book, in the book there's about 50 poems and 50 drawings by the late Mr. Stewart. And Pat is going to do one of his own, which he wrote about Charlie McNally, the comedian, from Maguire's Bridge.
The title of the poem is I Remember Charlie. There's a loneliness and sadness in every parish hall, for the one who entertained us received a sudden call. His family too shall miss him, and many thousands more, for the one who made us laugh so much will make us laugh no more. For in the entertainment world, sure Charlie he was tops, and at the Christmas panto he pulled out all the stops. What work he done for charity and all the special shows, his reward will be the richer, now he's with the one who knows. The children too will miss him, well most at Christmas time, for Christmas won't be Christmas without Charlie's pantomime. I'll miss him too myself, you know, when up and listen is gay, for a little chat with Charlie often made the day for me. I was thinking of him yesterday while working on the bog, of the serious side of Charlie when he'd do a monologue. I think the one he liked best was closest to his heart, the one about the wee lad at the match in Casement Park. He was always happy on the stage, as many people know. He often journeyed many miles to do another show. If there's concerts up in heaven where music is the best, they'll have Charlie as their MC or maybe special guest. And now that he is gone for us, and we are left to pray for the one who entertained us, say a wee one every day. Way back, a long time ago in Ireland, and no offence now to you, Edmund, either, you were about the only one here with a beard. You'd see pictures of your grandfather on the anywhere and great grandfather and all the big beards, do you see? Well, the reason I had them, do you see, there was no mirrors. They didn't know what they were doing, they couldn't start with a cut-throat razor unless they paid somebody. So then they called the beard, and it got the poverty sign, was what it got. But there was these pair down in Mayo anyway, my husband and wife and their one daughter anyway. And the man, he had a beard, and his father before him had a beard, and she didn't get on well with the man's father anyway. But anyway, he had this beard anyway, and the daughter, when she'd been going out anywhere, she got, Mama, you take a look at me, I'm all right, and she turned around, you see face, and then she turned back, she's all right the way she went. But she got a job up in Dublin. She went up to Dublin anyway, and she got the residence in Dublin anyway, and she wrote to the father to come up some weekend. So he went up on the weekend anyway, no, he wasn't there right, so she got him a big Guinness. Then the next thing she took him to the pictures. And this was great, he was up to Dublin then every weekend. This weekend he went up anyway, and she gave him this wee square parcel going home, and it nicely wrapped up anyway. So he was on the train going home, and he opened it up. There's a wee mirror, but when he seen it, oh, I should see a picture of my father. I'll not let her see it, for she never liked him. She was always giving out about him. So he took it upstairs and he hid it on the mattress anyway, do you see, but he'd go up a couple of times a day, do you see, and look at it. And she had got suspicious at him, sort of jealous that he was running to Dublin every weekend. Thought there was something up. So anyway, one day she went up and she looked round the room anyway. She could see nothing what she was running up to see anyway, and she lifted up the mattress. And there was the wee mirror, and she looked in it. And God, she says, if that's what he's running up to Dublin to see, he is better looking at home.
the wrath of passion's pledge. The Queen of Hearts still making tarts, and I not making hay. Oh, I love too much, and by such was happiness thrown away. I gave her gifts of the mind, I gave her the secret signs that's known to the artists who have known the true sounds of sand and stone, and word and stint I did not tint, for I gave her poems to say, with her own name there, and her shiny dark hair, like clouds over fields of May. On a quiet street where old ghosts meet, I saw her standing there, away from me so hurriedly. My reasons must allow that I have loved not as I should, a creature made of clay. When the angel woos the clay, he'd lose his wings at the
Thank you.